I'm Tierra Billiot, joined with Ian Criss, and this is LUTV Extra. I think we're going to start off with some baseball.
Hey, let's get into it.
Okay. Earlier this month, celebrations were underway honoring the day Jackie Robinson made his major league debut in 1947. But in 1946, Robinson's final year in the majors, African Americans were 6.7% of the major league rosters. Today, that number is only 7.7%. Ian, do you think Jackie Robinson would be happy with the direction of the MLB?
I was looking over some stats actually today, and we was more African American players on the Dodgers back in 1947 and through 1949 than there is on the Dodgers today that start. So I feel like it has taken a step back per se, and no, he would not be any type of pleased with how the MLB is represented, especially for African Americans.
I think even in 2010, the number was 10%. So as the years are going, the number's dwindling down, and it's just reasons why baseball isn't a sport. It's a rich sport. It's a sport for the white man to play. It's expensive for kids to play. Equipment's expensive. Bats, $400. Mittens or gloves are $400. It's just an expensive sport for a child to play, especially if it's a poor black child, maybe, for them to play. But then again, you have to think of all the Latinos, how that number is rising. As the black number is going down, that number is rising as well.
31.9% for Latinos in the MLB. So, I mean, yes, they are well represented. You know, and if you think about in percentages of the NBA, it's 80% African Americans in the NBA, 70% in the NFL. And I mean, we're represented in those sports. However, that's not the only two major sports that we should be represented in. And yes, we do have African Americans in the MLB. I'm not saying that. However, I feel like there are kids 5 through 18 now. There's over 100,000 kids, they said, that's playing baseball in the minor leagues, and it's like, okay, so somebody has to have talent in those age ranges, and I'm pretty sure that a good majority of those kids are African American. So I do feel like, this is something that definitely needs to get changed per se. Will it? Well, I'm not sure.
And I think it also starts with general managers. There's only 2 general managers in the MLB that are African American. One's been there for years. He's not going anywhere until he wants to leave. So I think it starts with general managers. You have no Latino general managers. So I don't know. There needs to be a change. Because, I mean, we can play other sports than football and basketball.
Yeah, but one thing I will say, African Americans are looking into the Dominican Summer League as well. So,
well, we can talk about some basketball. When the Oklahoma City made trades last season to bring Paul George and Carmelo Anthony to the team, the general belief around the NBA is that the team would be destined to win a title. But with OKC barely making it to the playoffs in the first season with the Big Three, the question, are they overrated?
Oh, man, is OKC overrated? Well, they're the number 2 most watched team on the road. So I will say that everybody is looking to see what they're going to do. Now, what have they done on the season? They're 48-34. So
are they overrated?
Well, you have player Russell Westbrook, who is averaging a triple-double. This is his second year doing that. So he's definitely nowhere near overrated. He had to, struggle to get some rebounds this year to get that accolade. But he's definitely not overrated. Now, when you start talking about Carmelo Anthony and Paul George, those are 2 big superstars. So Carmelo Anthony, he doesn't play as much defense as I feel he should play. But Paul George, that's made up through Paul George, I feel like. So are they overrated? Yes.
Very much so.
They are overrated.
Very much so, they're overrated. I mean, it's a team, if you think about if we talk about the Big Three, we go back to Boston. Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. That's a Big Three. That's 3 men that won championships. They dominated on the court. They had a chemistry. And that's what we kind of thought this OKC team was going to be like, especially when they traded Victor Oladipo to the Pacers. Well, okay, maybe they got Paul George coming, Carmelo Anthony coming. Maybe they can blend, but it just hasn't. No, their last game against the Utah Jazz, 0 from 14 in the 4th quarter. How?
Well, Carmelo Anthony is rated number 3 on the NBA list for overrated players. So, that's a tough one. I feel like, when you talk about Big Threes, you got to think about Miami. You have to think about Boston, like you said. you know, they didn't have another
why
person
did it
over
work
in the Lakers.
for
but,
them, but it's not working for OKC? Why isn't it working for OKC?
Because you have to go against a team like Golden State Warriors, who have the
But that
Kevin
has nothing
Durant
to do with
on the
the
team, and he moved from OKC to Golden State because they could not beat them. I feel like that's one of the biggest challenges that OKC has. They just don't have that one more player to take them over the top.
Well, we'll see if OKC can make it out of this first round. I think they can do it.
And they have the number
them.
8 in defense as well. So, I mean,
if they can do it,
all right.
First round, second round at least.
Yeah.
That's all we have for you today from LUTV Sports Extra.